Before Claude answered your first question, it had already processed more text than any human could read in 10,000 years. Scraped, learned from, weighted, and the choices about what got in and what got cut shape every response it gives you today. In earlier videos, we went inside Claude's architecture, its values layer, and its context window. Today, we go inside the training process itself, what pre-training data actually is, how Anthropic decided what to include, how human feedback shaped the model's behavior, and how you evaluate something this complex once it exists. By the end, you'll understand why Claude responds the way it does, and what limits that training still imposes on you. Most people imagine AI training as something like teaching a child, patient, sequential, corrective. It isn't. Pre-training is a statistical process run at enormous scale. You take a model, a neural network with billions of parameters, and you train it to predict what text comes next. Not to understand, not to reason, to predict. You do this across hundreds of billions of tokens, text pulled from the public internet, from books, from code repositories, from scientific papers, from forum posts. The model never sees a single example twice. It processes the token stream, generates a prediction, measures the error, and adjusts billions of times. This is called unsupervised learning. There's no human labeling each piece of text as correct or incorrect. The signal comes from the text itself, the structure of language, the patterns of reasoning that surface when you process enough of it. What emerges from pre-training is not knowledge in the way humans think of it. It is a probability distribution over text. A model that has internalized the patterns of human writing so thoroughly that it can generate coherent, contextually appropriate language about almost anything. That model isn't Claude yet. It's the foundation Claude is built on. The public internet is not a clean data set. It contains high-quality research papers and forum arguments, authoritative journalism and coordinated misinformation, thoughtful essays and content designed to manipulate search rankings. If you train a model on the raw web without curation, you get a model that reflects all of it: the quality and the noise, the insight and the bias, the expertise and the fabrication. Anthropic, like every major AI lab, applies filtering before training. Some of what gets removed is obvious: content that sexualizes children, detailed instructions for weapons, coordinated influence operations. Some is more subtle: low-quality text generated by earlier AI models, near duplicates that distort frequency weighting, spam designed to game crawlers. The choices here have real consequences. A model trained on more code becomes better at coding. A model trained on more formal writing becomes more precise. A model trained on more multilingual text becomes more capable across languages. Curation is not neutral. Every filtering decision shapes the model's capabilities and gaps. Anthropic doesn't publish its full dataset composition. Most labs don't. What is known? Claude was trained on a large, filtered corpus of web text, plus books, code, and curated sources. The proportions matter, and they're a competitive secret. After pre-training, you have a powerful base model. It can generate fluent text. It doesn't yet reliably do what you want. It might answer questions by continuing in the style of the document rather than actually answering. It might produce outputs that are technically coherent but harmful, inconsistent, or just unhelpful. This is where reinforcement learning from human feedback, RLHF, comes in. In RLHF, human raters compare pairs of model outputs and indicate which one is better. Those preferences are used to train a reward model, a separate neural network that learns to predict what humans prefer. The base model is then fine-tuned using that reward signal. It learns to produce outputs more like the ones humans rated positively. The implications are significant. RLHF is what teaches a model to actually answer questions rather than complete text. It's what makes the model more helpful, more honest, more coherent as a conversational partner. It's also where the biases of the human rater pool enter the model. Who rates the outputs? What demographic are they? What cultural context do they bring? These choices embed assumptions about what better means. RLHF doesn't just make a model more useful, it makes it more like whoever is doing the rating. Once you've trained a model, you face a harder problem, figuring out what you actually built. A model with hundreds of billions of parameters is not interpretable. You can't read its weights and understand its values. You can't introspect on why it gives a particular answer. What you can do is test it, systematically and at scale. Anthropic runs evaluations before releasing any model. These include standard benchmarks, reasoning tests, knowledge tests, coding tests that let you compare against other models. But the more important evaluations are safety-focused. Can the model be jailbroken? Does it produce harmful content if prompted indirectly? Does it behave consistently across demographic groups? Does it tell users what they want to hear rather than what's accurate? These are hard problems. A model can pass every benchmark and still fail in ways that only surface when millions of people use it across contexts you didn't anticipate. Anthropic has published red teaming reports, structured adversarial testing, for its major releases. The picture they paint is honest. Evaluations are a snapshot. They tell you how a model behaves on the tests you ran. They don't guarantee behavior on every prompt it will ever encounter. The gap between evaluation and deployment is where most real-world failures happen. All of this, the pre-training corpus, the curation choices, the RLHF rater pool, the evaluation coverage, translates directly into the model you use. When Claude is uncertain, it reflects the uncertainty in its training data. When it's confident, that confidence is also a product of training, which means it can be confidently wrong. When Claude expresses a value about honesty, about harm, about helpfulness, that value was shaped by the RLHF process and the constitutional AI layer. It isn't neutral. Nothing about a trained model is neutral. The practical implication for builders is this: every Claude-based product inherits Claude's training. The things it's good at, the edge cases it mishandles, the values it expresses, the demographic assumptions embedded in its rater pool, all of it comes with the model. You can fine-tune on your own data to shift behavior. You can prompt carefully to surface different capabilities. But the base is what it is. Understanding where that base came from, what it was trained on, how it was shaped, is not just academic. It determines where your product will work reliably and where it won't. The teams building the best AI products aren't just good at prompting. They're good at understanding what the model actually is. That's the training pipeline, from raw text to a model that reasons, refuses, and tries to be helpful. If this changed how you think, subscribe. Next, we go inside Claude's safety architecture, how Anthropic decides what it should and shouldn't do and what that means for you.